Okay, so we're going to start on this first slide looking back over our o'clock times and how they look on a normal clock face, which we're going to call an analog clock face, which is this one here, analog, and what they look like on a digital clock face, which is our clock on this side. Okay, so we're going to start off with a time in the morning when we should all be working. It's when we've arrived at school and we're all settled, and it's now 9 o'clock in the morning. I know it's an o'clock time because my minute hand is pointing right up at the number 12, right at the top of the clock. Okay, now on a digital clock face, it's read slightly differently because although we would say this is 9 o'clock on an analog clock face, on a digital clock face, the hours come first on the left-hand side of the colon and the minutes come on the other side. Now, the hour in at the moment is 9 o'clock. We've just reached 9 o'clock. So I'm going to show the first column is empty by putting a 0 in it, and then I'm going to put 9 and then my colon. Now, because my minute hand has not travelled around the clock at all yet, I'm going to say that is 0, 0 on the minute side. So 9 o'clock is written as 09 colon 00. Okay, so another o'clock time now. It's the end of break and we're just about to come in and start our English work, and the time is now 11 o'clock. So if I was to write that down, I would write the number 11, and then O with an apostrophe, clock, like that, 11 o'clock. So I bet you already know how to do it on the digital clock. This is nice and easy, isn't it? Hours first, then minutes. So we've just reached the hour of 11, and Mr. Minute, the minute hand, has not travelled at all yet around the clock. He's right at the start of the clock. So we say 11 with the colon and then 00. Okay, our last chance then to go over the o'clock times. I'm thinking about an evening time now, so I'm talking about the PM time that we've got here on our digital clock. PM means afternoon and evening. So I'm thinking about a time when hopefully you are all getting ready for bed, if not tucked up in bed already. So it's an o'clock time because that's when we're focusing on, and it is going to be 8 o'clock. So I would write in my book 8 o'clock, and then I'd think about what that would look like on a digital clock. So hours on the left again, minutes on the right. 8 o'clock, 08, because we're going to show that this column here is empty, colon 00. 8 o'clock, 00 on this side, because so far the minute hand has not travelled at all around the clock. It's right up here at the start of the number 12. Right, so now we're going to take the learning on a little bit, and we're going to look at what happens when we divide the clock equally into two halves. So you can see from this image that we have two halves overlaid on our clock, and we can see that when we cut the clock in half, that the line runs straight from the o'clock line at the top of the clock here, where our o'clock would be, and then it goes all of the way down to where the number 6 is. So when the minute hand has travelled half of the way round the clock, it reaches the number 6. And this is the time that we call half past, because it is half of the way round the clock. Now you can see it a little bit more clearly if I take away the half images, and now you can see clearly that he's travelled halfway around the clock. If I was to try, if I can remember how to change the colour, if I was to shade now half of the clock, you can see it again really clearly. There's one half, and the minute hand has travelled half of the way round. Okay, so now let's think about how many minutes that is in half of the clock. Okay, so If we were to count each of these individual minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would take us a really long time. So can you see that each of these spaces here is worth 5 minutes? So this is where we can use our times tables to count really quickly round, and we can say that would be, that would be 5 minutes past, 10, 15, 20, 25 and 30 minutes. So the minute hand, if it travels from the o'clock halfway round the clock to the number 6, has travelled 30 minutes. So have a little look at your next screen and we'll see what that means when we're writing those as digital times. So here we are thinking about half past time. So I'm thinking about the time when we're all settled in assembly. So my minute hand this time, instead of pointing all the way up to the number 12, which is o'clock, is going to have travelled half of the way round the clock to the number 6. So it's going to be a half past time. And the time we're in assembly is 10:30. See how the hour hand here, if I change the colour so you can see, has travelled past the number 10 and it's on its way to the number 11. So if we were to write this in our book, we would write down 10:30, or on our digital clock we can put our hour on the left hand side and our minutes on the right hand side. Now this is where we get a little bit confusing. So the hour on the left hand side, we've just gone past the hour of 10 on our clock. This is our hour hand right here that's telling me I've just gone past 10. So I'm now going to put the 10 in here. Now my minute hand, we know, has travelled half of the way round the clock, and we saw on the last screen that was the same as doing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and then 30 minutes. So you can see that 10:30 is written as 10:30. Have a look on the next screen for another example. Okay, this is another half past time. So this in the afternoon is when all the teachers have seen the children out at the end of the day and they're starting to settle down to do their marking at their desks. Now, the time is another half past time where my minute hand has travelled all of the way from the number 12 round the clock, halfway round. And my hour hand has just gone past the hour of 3. So he's telling me it is 3:30. Look how I'm being lazy and writing my fraction there instead of the word. That's okay though. Okay, so remembering on my digital clock I put my hour first. So look at your hour hand on the clock. Which hour have you just gone past? I've gone past the hour of 3. And then on the minute side I say how many minutes the minute hand has travelled round. Now let's have a look at that again. It was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes round. So that's 3:30 or 3:30. Okay, last chance now to look at a half past time before we start to do some work in our books. So this is the time when definitely you're all fast asleep in your beds at night time. So let's have a little look. It's going to be another half past time. So my minute hand is reaching all the way to the edge of my clock there, and it is late time, almost midnight. So my minute hand has gone half of the way round the clock, so it's half past, and then we look at my hour hand. What hour has he just gone past? It's 11:30. So I bet you can do this on this side really easy now. So the hours on the hour hand is telling me I'm at the number 11, the hour of 11. And how many minutes past? Let's change our colour again so we don't get confused. So starting from o'clock, how many minutes have I gone? Count it with me. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. 30 minutes around the clock, or as we can say, 11:30. Okay, so now we're actually going to start to put some work in our books to show that we know the half, past and o'clock on our digital and analogue clock faces. Okay, first things first, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see those clocks a little more easily. Now, our car's at the start point now, and we're going to move our car down onto each space and we're going to write it in our book really, really neatly. So my car's going to go next to this clock here first of all, and I can see that the time on this clock is a half past time because I can see that my minute hand, look, is down here halfway round the clock. So in my book I would neatly write 8:30. So I can use a fraction if I want to, and I would write 8:30. And then I'm going to show that as a digital time as well. So remembering I need 4 digits. So I need a 0, 8, because that's the hour that I'm in. Then I put my colon. Now, can you remember what it was when you've gone halfway round the clock? That's right, it's 30 minutes, isn't it? So 8:30 is 08:30. Now, when you've done that one, which is super, so I can get rid of that lettering now. When you've done that one, you move your car down to the next clock, and you write that one in your book, and so on. When you've done that one, you move on. Now, obviously, this is normally used for a game, so you can ignore the miss a turn spaces. Maybe your car can have a little race around those and then carry on to the next one. So you're going to do each of those clocks for me to prove that you're really, really confident. And when you've done all of those, you're definitely going to be ready for some new learning, which is on your next screen.